Hi, welcome to data cleaning and transformation session. This session is divided into three parts. So we're going to have the part 1, part 2, and part 3. In the last session, we talked about bringing data into Power BI. So now that the data is in Power BI, what next? Of course, the next step is to clean and transform the data. But why do we need to clean and transform the data? There are various reasons for cleaning and transforming data, but here are the most common reasons. One, you want to take away null values. So during data entry, it's possible some columns or rows of the data, have some null values, some empty fields. So you want to be on the lookout for such, perhaps replacing those null or empty fields with something else. Two, wrong data formatting. Imagine that in a column that is supposed to hold the ages of staff or employees, you are now having contact phone numbers. So you want to be on the lookout for that. Or perhaps the wrong data type is being assigned to it. So for age column, we are expecting whole numbers, but we are now getting some fractional values such as 18.5, 37.5. That could affect your storytelling. So you want to be on the lookout for wrong data formatting. You also need to clean and transform data to introduce more fields that could help you to tell a better story. So for example, you have still on the age column, you have different ages of employee. I mean, that could be too cumbersome for you to work with. Imagine working with 50 distinct ages. So rather than working with 50 distinct ages, why don't you create an age bracket? So you may have 18 to 30, age bracket of 31 to 50, and by creating those age brackets, it will enable you to tell a better story. So these are some of the reasons why you need to clean and shape your data to suit the kind of story you want to tell. So if you're ready, let's switch over to the Power BI Studio so we can start shaping our data, cleaning it, and transform it to suit the kind of story we want to tell. In our last video, we brought in the HRO attrition. If you don't know how we got here, please visit our previous video so you can learn and see step by step on how to bring in data into Power BI. So now that the data is here, what next? We need to transform it, to shape it. To do that, ensure that you're in the report view, the home menu, and then you click on transform data. So click on it. It's going to load you into Power Query Editor. Power Query Editor allows us to modify our data, to shape our data. So we are in the Power Query Editor now. At the left-hand side, you see queries. It shows the list of queries or data that you have or imported into Power BI. In the right-hand side, we have the query settings. We have the properties that shows us the properties such as the file name of the data that was brought in. We also have the applied step. You can collapse or expand any of these sections. So the first thing I want to do is, I'm not too comfortable with the data name, the file name. This file name is defaulted to the file name of the original file that was imported into Power BI. So I may want to change this name to something more suitable. Recall that changes done here does not affect the raw data or the source data. So I want to change the file name. Instead of having HRO_attrition, I may decide to change it to employee data. So if I hit enter, you will observe that my query will change from HRO_attrition to employee data. So I hit enter. So congratulations, we have just done our first transformation. So we have changed the name of our data set into something else. Data set refers to the data that was imported into Power BI. So we have just changed the name. Now the next changes to be done is on the columns. Under this applied step, notice that any changes done on the column will be captured here. For now, we just have 3 steps. But let's see, whatever change we do to the column, you see it will be recorded here as a group. So the first modification I want to do on my column is to change the column name, to rename the column to something more suitable. So I'm going to go through my various columns and look out for names that needs to be changed. So for example, we have higher underscore education. I want to take away the underscore. So I need to rename this column. How do I rename a column? Place your mouse or your cursor on the column and then right click and click on rename. So when you do that, you can take away your underscore, take away the underscore and hit enter. Another way you can rename a column is to double click on the column. So I'm going to double click on the name of the column here, which is date underscore of underscore higher. So I double click on it and then I can change it. Change it to date of higher. I repeat same to date of termination. We also have status of leaving. I may decide to change that to reason for leaving. I have my mode of work. I'm also going to change that to mode of work. I'll scroll down. I have work accident, so I'm going to rename this. I have my job mode. Source of hire, so I also want to change that too. So congratulations once again, we have successfully modified our column names, the headers. Now the next thing we want to be on the lookout for is the data type. We want to ensure that the appropriate data type is assigned to each of these columns. By data type, I mean the content of each column. So for example, in age, we are not expected to see fractions. We're expected to see whole numbers. So I want to ensure, is it whole number that was assigned to this? To do that, beside the name of the column, you have this symbol. For example, on the age, we have 1, 2, 3 numeric values. For attrition, for example, you see we have alphabets, A, B, C. Good. So that tells you the data type that is there. If you click on it, you see a list of the various data types that can be assigned to each column. So for this column, what is assigned is whole number 1, 2, 3, which is fine. We're expecting whole numbers here, so that's fine. If you come here to HR attrition, you see ABC, and that's text. It's also fine. So I can scroll through, right? I'll just go straight to my date column, fine. You see for date column, we have the calendar symbol, that's fine. If you also take note, the changes we've done is also recorded here. So because for this attrition, age, by clicking here and I selected whole number, it was recorded here. So I can just come here and click this and everything will reverse back. For those columns that I rename, if I delete this, it will take it back to how it was when I shipped it in. So this applied step is like our undo, in our traditional undo where you want to reverse back to how it was. So by mere clicking or deleting that line, it reverses everything back to how it was. So that's exactly how you change the data type. You ensure the proper data type is assigned to each column. Now, before rounding up this part, we want to talk about 2 key menus. in the Power Query editor, and that is the transform and the add column. Each of these menus have sub-menus, and sometimes their sub-menus look very similar. So we want to be mindful of these two menus. The transform menu, as the name suggests, is used in modifying a column. So perhaps in this business travel, for example, where we have travel underscore rarely, I might decide to replace this travel underscore rarely with just travel rarely. That means I've taken away the underscore. So such is a transformation. I am modifying the values of that column. So to do that, I will come to transform. I will find tools that will enable me to perform that action under the transform menu. However, if I need to create additional column, like the analogy we make for ages, where I need to create age brackets, those age brackets do not exist at this moment and I need to create it. I will go to add column. So the add column is used to create a new column. The new column you're creating may depend on an existing column. For example, if you want to create the age bracket, of course the age bracket is going to depend on the age column where we group employee ages. So that's it for this part, data cleaning and transformation part 1. In the next part, we're going to talk about more transformation that can be done on our data. So see you in the next part, data cleaning and transformation part 2.